doing bruschetta, and today it's still February, unfortunately, so it's still cold. So today we're going to be making some Canadian cheddar cheese soup, which I'm super excited for. I'm actually French Canadian myself, my family is, but this is actually a recipe from Disney World because I'm a huge Disney fan. But anyways, let's get started. So ingredients that we're going to be needing for today, we are going to be needing some whole milk, flour, butter, cheddar cheese, bacon, red onion, scallions, some celery, Worcestershire sauce, Tabasco, salt, black pepper, chicken broth, and some pretzels. So let's get started. Alright, so this is actually a really simple recipe to do. It just has a decent amount of prep work. So first we are going to start by cutting up our bacon. So just a little helpful tip. The bacon is actually a lot easier to cut if it's frozen. So if you want to freeze that bacon before you cut it, it's going to make it a little bit easier for you. So we're just cutting this bacon up into small pieces. You're going to need 6 pieces of bacon, or more, depending on if you want more bacon or no bacon, because you're crazy. So now that we have all of our bacon cut up, we're going to put it aside. That made a loud noise. And we are going to start cutting up our vegetables. So for vegetables today, we have some scallions, some red onions, and some celery, which is great. And we are going to need a half a cup of each of these vegetables. And you're gonna wanna chop these up pretty fine. All right, so we just put a half a cup of celery in this big bowl right here. And now we are going to be cutting up a half a cup of scallions. Like I said in a previous episode, if you put a damp cloth underneath your cutting board, it'll make it stay stationary, but I don't got one today, so we're going with the flow. All right, so for the scallions, what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna cut mainly the lighter green and the white part to put in the soup. We're gonna save the darker top green parts for a little later to use as a garnish on top of our soup. All right, so we have cut up our 1/2 of a cup of our scallions. We're gonna put it in our bowl right with our celery, and we are gonna start cutting up our red onion. So I'm ready to just cry. Should be fun. Let's go. Again, you're gonna wanna cut these up pretty fine, but it is a soup, so it is entirely up to you. Whatever you're feeling that day. My recommendation though is to cut it up pretty fine. All right, so I just finished cutting up a half a cup of red onion, and we are now ready to go over to the stove and start cooking some stuff. So let's go. So now we're gonna get to cooking, and I have my chopped up bacon here, which I'm going to throw in the pan right here. That made a fun noise. Yeah, break it up a little bit. And we're going to let this cook down until it's like golden brown, and then we're gonna add in our onions. So see you then. So now our bacon looks nice and crispy. It looks really good. So we are going to be adding our onions to this, which is a half a cup of onions. I'm gonna stir this up. And we're gonna let this cook until the onions are translucent. So now that our onions are nice and translucent, I'm gonna dump my celery and scallions right in here. Awesome, stir that up. And then we're gonna let this cook for about 5 more minutes until everything is nice and soft. So while those vegetables are cooking down, and might I just say, it smells so good in here. I don't know if there's a better smell than like bacon and onions cooking. If there is, I haven't found it. But it smells great, and we are going to start shredding our cheddar cheese. I I believe I said this in an earlier episode. I like to grate my cheese rather than just getting like the pre-shredded cheese from the grocery store, just because those like bags of pre-shredded cheese tend to have preservatives in them, like cornstarch, that'll mess up with like the thickness of your soup and stuff. So I like to grate my own cheese, but you are welcome to use the pre-sliced cheese or whatever. It's just a personal preference of mine, but I won't change your recipe all that much. So I'm going to measure out my cheese. I need 2 cups of shredded cheddar cheese. Just a lot of cheese. I'm very excited. All right, so now we have all of our 2 cups of cheddar cheese shredded, and now I'm going to need 2 tablespoons of butter. I feel like this is a trend. I feel like I use a lot of butter on this show. It's all right. Butter. I'm back. I also have 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour, which was mentioned earlier, which we will use in just a second once our vegetables are all done. So our vegetables look pretty cooked through, so now we are going to make kind of like a roux. I'm going to be adding my 2 tablespoons of butter right in there and let that melt. It's a little soft already, so it should melt really fast. So now that our butter is all melted and combined with our vegetables, we are going to be adding 3 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. So this does create kind of like a roux, which is going to thicken our soup. So now that our flour is fully incorporated into our vegetables, we are going to be slowly adding our 3 cups of whole milk. So you are going to want to add this pretty slowly, just like you would for any sort of sauce or a roux, just to make sure that it like stays thick and it doesn't separate. You are also going to be wanting to have your milk at room temperature, or at least warm, just because it tends to separate if the milk is a lot colder than the fat within the vegetable mixture. So now we've added all of our warm milk to our mixture. We are now going to be adding 2 cups of chicken broth. All right, so now that we've added all of our ingredients, we are going to bring this to a boil, and then we're gonna cover it and let it simmer for 15 minutes. So this is officially bubbling and boiling, so we are going to put a cover on it and let it simmer for 15 more minutes. Okay, so this has been sitting here and simmering for the last 15 minutes. We are now going to take it off the heat, away from the heat, and turn that off so as we don't start a fire, because that doesn't sound like fun at all. So now that we've taken it off the heat, we are now slowly going to be mixing in our cheese. I'm actually going to be using a whisk for this, just to make sure that there's no clumps and that it's better, so I apologize for that. Yes, but I am slowly going to be adding in my 2 cups of cheddar cheese. Lots of cheese. All right. Stir that up. And we take it off the heat just to make sure that it doesn't separate and that everything is all mixed together well. Add some more cheese. And the rest of it. So to this, we are going to be adding a half a teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce. I know there's like a big debate of like how to say it, Worcestershire, but I'm from Massachusetts, so that's wrong. It's Worcestershire, or otherwise known as what's this here sauce. I don't know what this is here, but it is some kind of sauce. Anyways, you're also to that going to be adding 3 shakes of Tabasco, or as many as you please. Mix that up. And then we're going to be adding salt and pepper to taste. Put it in fun little bowls. Awesome, and you're gonna wanna add a decent amount just because it is such a big thing of soup, but again, it is to taste, so you can taste it, and if it tastes right, then it is perfect. So we have our soup. I put it in a bunch of bowls. I used just a little bit of some of our chopped up scallions as a little garnish on the top to make it all look pretty. And I have some pretzel rolls that I just quickly put in the oven. You can make your own pretzel rolls. I usually do, but we're feeling lazy today. I bought mine at the store. But that is a much easier option, so you can always go do that. No judgment here. But yeah, we have our cheese soup and it smells so good, and I'm sure it's gonna be great. We're gonna share it. It's gonna be great, and it's gonna make me feel so warm because I'm so cold right now. But yes, so that's it for this episode of Culinary College. I've been Jenny Frechette, and we will see you next time for some more amazing recipes. Actually, one last thing, go check out LCTV on their socials, and I will see you next time for some amazing recipes. Check out the recipe below, I hope, and yeah, see ya.